Well, what if you were 19 years old in 1969 and you had just bought a green, white interior 69 GTO and you drove it for the first 5 years of its life and you beat the tar out of it and you had all sorts of fun. You had all sorts of memories in that car. Well, what if you progressed and you matured and you started driving BMWs and Porsches and all the worldly cars, but your car still sat in the garage from 1969? Now, we're in the year 2005 and you want it restored. But you understand that it's not just about brute horsepower. You want it to go around corners, you want it to look great, you want it to handle great, but you also want it to feel like 1969 all over again. You wanted your car back, but a modern version of it. What we didn't want to do though is lose that muscle car feel. So as far as motor, we just put in a 430 horsepower, 400-inch motor. Actually his original motor. We made lots of performance, made it reliable, runs on pump gas. As far as the transmission went, we went with an auto gear, which is basically a brand new M22 transmission. Has that same great sound, but now it's bulletproof. As far as rear end goes, we went to a 9-inch, probably the toughest rear end ever built. Now as far as suspension goes, he wanted something that looked cool, was functional. So we went to an air ride suspension system. Car goes around the corner, we got a custom trailing arm on this car, goes around corners great, has a good set of shock absorbers, and then he can drop it right down into the weeds when he wants to park it. He's got great looks, good performance. Braking, this guy's used to driving real performance cars, so we went with a giant set of vented cross-drilled rotors. We've also got 6-piston bear calipers in the front and 4-piston in the rear. All around, the braking's as good as any new car. All in all, when it comes to these resto mods, it comes down to personal preference. Don's very specific. He wanted a very stock-looking car other than the rims and tires, but he wanted it to perform well. He wanted the interior to look pretty much bone stock, which it does, but he wanted to hide a big stereo and he wanted great performance. Well, this car here turned out exactly to be what the owner wanted. He wanted to look original, but he wanted a modern feel, he wanted modern performance. All in all, what we started with was a rusty old car, so every panel on this car needed to be replaced. Horsepower-wise, 430 horsepower, nothing radical, but he wants to be able to drive this like he did in 1969. He wants to take it out, take his wife, not his girlfriend anymore, out for an evening date. That's exactly what he's going to be able to do with this car. If you look at the fit and finish on the car, considering the car was an extremely rusty car, it's beautiful. The interior, all original interior, all redone. In the trunk, we had to hide a 1500-watt stereo. We had to hide all the hardware for the air ride suspension. We had to cram in 18-inch wheels under this thing, lower the car, make sure it looked proportionately right. At the end of the day, I think Don's got exactly what he wanted, a modern GTO. Now, what does a car like this cost? Well, there's thousands and thousands of hours into the restoration, but for somebody like Don, who's made it in life, this car is priceless.